How are we going to do audit? Well, the first thing that you want to do, pick something that interests you. Now, I have this in because I use this for junior doctors, but most of you here are independent practitioners, and so that really doesn't matter to you. But pick something, if you're doing your first audit, it's like learning a language. It's a hell of a lot easier to learn a language that you want to use rather than being forced to learn Swahili. Second thing, pick an identifiable standard. Now we'll come back to that in a minute because that's one of the problems that people say, oh, where do I find a standard or what standard do I use? Pick a clear standard so that when you are that high jumper and you're running at those two upright poles, you know where the bar is. Because if you don't know where the bar is, you're just going to run into it. And lastly, in terms of the criteria that you measure, again, they must be specific. Again, I give you an example of that in terms of what are routine bloods. Now, if you're in a hospital, routine bloods to a general physician are probably full blood count, U&E, maybe LFTs, random fasting blood glucose, etc. Routine bloods to an orthopod, group and cross match. Yeah. Routine bloods to a lab person. Any blood that arrives in, any sample that arrives in the lab before 4 o'clock. After that, it's out of hours and it's on call. So the idea that you be specific about the criteria that you use. Again, just another aside on how you think that you are being really specific about your criteria. When they did the Sloan survey in 1999 in the area, anybody here from Carlow Kilkenny? They had some basic questions. It's a measure of general health, and the demographics included name, address, date of birth, and sex. M or F, circle as appropriate. And somebody wrote mainly M, but the occasional F. Now that's a non-specific answer to a criteria. Now, going on to how do you do the audit. This is called the PDCA cycle. It's sometimes called the PDSA cycle, but essentially it's the audit loop. Plan by identifying your standard. Measure the activity. Check it against the standard, and then act to make any changes that are necessary. Now, clearly, if you've gone around there and you found that you have needed to do some action to improve things, which in many cases you probably will, well then, you have to go around again to see that, have I fixed the issue? So it's a loop, it's almost like a dog chasing its tail. So you may have to jump into this loop and start at the first point, but then you may have to go around again. Now, it's nicely divided into 4 like a pizza. That's lovely and simple, isn't it? Unfortunately, to do the planning probably requires a certain amount of energy and time. To do the collection of data, again, should be a small amount of time. Checking it, you're probably checking it as you're collecting it. And then to do this bit, to do the action bit, that's going to be a real challenge. And anybody that tells you it's not a challenge is lying. This bit here, and this is the problem for people who are conducting clinical audit, because they do this bit, they get to here, they say, audit done, thanks very much, and go home. Whereas to try and change this bit is a challenge, and then even if you get halfway around, you're so tired out and put off by the whole thing that you don't get to there and you don't start again. So you just beware, it can be a defeating purpose. But hopefully we'll cover some of the issues that will make it less defeating